Hello guys, I'm here for for episode 5 in the Slams of May. The time I look at pay-per-views from the month of May from the WWE and WCW. So today's episode is Slamboree 1995. The third Slamboree, but the final Slamboree to carry the subtitle of A Legends Reunion. So, this show took place on May the 21st, 1995, from the Bayfront Center in St. Petersburg, Florida. There are 8 matches on this card. 7 were advertised, and you had a bonus match thrown in. The opening contest, WCW World Tag Team Championship match, Harlem Heat versus the Nasty Boys, which for a while was a handicap match. Because Brian Knobbs was injured earlier in the night, so Jerry Sags, because it's the Nasty Boys' last shot at the titles, Sags comes out by himself, and for most of the match, it's a handicap match. And then Brian Knobbs shows up, and the Nasties eventually defeat Harlem Heat to become the tag team champions. Okay match, 2 stars. It's kind of a formulaic tag match in a way, and it's also kind of a predictable outcome in some cases. Because normally when it's your last shot, you know, most places book the person who's on their last shot wins the tag titles. Now, WWE in 2007 changed that from Edge and Batista during Batista's last shot, but that's one of the few times that these last shot things, that the last shot, the championship things, are, you know, they're normally the guy who's their last shot's going to win the title. So, that's what happened here. So, okay match, 2 stars. Next match, Kevin Sullivan versus the man with no name. It's like Prince. But anyway, Brutus Beefcake, they had kicked out of the Faces of Fear and all this. So instead of becoming, so he wasn't the Butcher anymore, and WCW just called him the man with no name. And the little Slamboree name bar thing that pops up was just a blank thing with the Slamboree logo next to it to signify he was the man with no name. Beefcake would eventually join the Dungeon of Doom as the Zodiac, which this match kind of sets up and leads to the Dungeon of Doom in a way. 1-star match here. Sullivan wins after Trio Woe and a double stomp. And then this guy comes on the screen covered in cobwebs, which we later found out was the Master. And this guy was in the WWE for, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s, but I don't really know who he is. I've never really known who the Master is. So, but anyway, and he calls Kevin Sullivan to come forth, and this starts the Dungeon of Doom thing, which would pretty much feud up Hulk Hogan through the rest of '95 most of the time. 1 star here. So then we get the annual Legends match. Wahoo McDaniel versus Dick Murdoch. Well, at least an Oklahoman and a Texan are fighting each other instead of being on the same team like they were in Slamboree 93. 1 star. I'm not overly critical on Legend matches, so for what it is, it's 1 star. Although, unlike the other Legends matches in Slamboree 93 and 94, they did this one in black and white, as they wanted to give the experience of, you know, how it was in the 50s and 60s and all this. I'm like, well, yeah, but this is the 1990s. Most people now, black and white doesn't make any sense in today's day and age. I mean, I know the movie Schindler's List was shot in black and white, but I think that was shot for more of historical stuff. Why that was shot in black and white, I don't really know. 1 star. So then we get a rarity on American soil. The IWGP Championship match. An IWGP Championship match. Great Muta versus Paul Orndorff. Like I said, this is one of the few times that I know that the IWGP Championship has ever been defended on American soil, because it's predominantly defended in Japan. For those who don't know, IWGP stands for International Wrestling Grand Prix. So, it's basically New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, there is another pro wrestling federation over in Japan, but called Noah, but I don't really, as far as I know, I think the IWGP title is the title of New Japan, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, it's not defended on U.S. soil much. And this match of Muta and Orndorff is okay. It's 1.5 stars because it can be rather boring to watch. Because Muta doesn't get, and Orndorff does a lot of smart stuff here because he doesn't allow Muta to do the high flying he's known for. So, excuse me. Excuse me. But because Muta doesn't get a chance to do his high flying stuff, that makes this match boring. And right at the end, Muta finally hits his moonsault and gets the win. 1.5 stars. So then we get the WCW World Television Championship match. Arn Anderson versus Alex Wright. And personally, I would have preferred Alex Wright win here because, quite frankly, the guy Anderson did drop the TV title to definitely never should have had it. But I'll get to that when I get to the Great American Bash review series. This is a very good match here with Anderson and Alex Wright. I think that Arn Anderson was the right guy against Alex Wright to really show what Alex Wright can do. Alex Wright was always kind of an underrated talent, but just out of a bad gimmick. I think most of Alex Wright's matches were actually really good. So, this is one of them. This is also Alex Wright's first loss, and he loses it on a rookie mistake that Arn Anderson exploit. Anderson draws back, he's going to go for a punch. Wright drops his head, and allows Anderson to hit the DDT for the win. So, Wright's inexperience in the ring is what caused him to lose this match. And that's a very good finish. 2.5 stars. Like I said, given who Anderson lost the TV title to, Wright winning would have been a better booking decision. But so next we get the unadvertised bonus match: Road Warrior Hawk versus Meng. Half star just because this is two tough guys fighting. It's a double count out, just under 5 minutes, and it's a double count out. And that match was really made earlier on the main event show because Road Warrior Hawk interfered in a match that Meng was wrestling, or had won in the U.S. title tournament. I think it was against Flying Brian, but I'll delve more into that when I get to the Great American Bash review about why there was a U.S. title tournament. But so yeah, half a star. So then we get the Lights Out match: Sting versus Big Bubba Rogers. 2 stars. I don't think this is as good as their uncensored match. Their uncensored match is the only good thing on that show that really saves it from being the worst wrestling show ever. But because it at least has one redeeming thing in it, the Sting Big Bubba match,
put 2 Mountain Dews in there, there's a bottle in there.
It's not the worst thing in the world. Because that match saves on Thursday Night Five from being the worst wrestling pay-per-view that I've seen. But WrestleMania 9 is still the worst one of those. Not by much, but yeah. Anyway, Sting, Big Bubba. Sting gets the win with the Scorpion Death Drop. Now, logically, since Sting had won 1 and Bubba had won 1, they needed a third match to really blow the feud off, but WCW didn't do that, so essentially this thing ends at 1 apiece, in a way. So then we get the main event: Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage versus Ric Flair and Vader. 2.5 star tag match. Formulaic. Interesting that the Mega Powers were back here, but they were called the Monster Maniacs. And they win when Hogan leg drops Flair. And then Flair and Anderson beat up on Angelo Popo, who, Randy Savage's father, Angelo Popo, which led to Randy Savage and Ric Flair to Great American Bash in '95. So it's a 2.5 stars. Also, I didn't touch on this, but I know the wrestling portion. The only other thing that they did was the WCW Hall of Fame inductions. They inducted 7 people, although one was a surprise. They inducted Wahoo McDaniel, Terry Funk, Angelo Poffo, Antonio Inoki, Big John Studd, Dusty Rhodes, and Gordon Solie. And Gordon Solie was actually he was upset when they inducted him because of how they were, primarily they were just using him for legend stuff and things like this. And he never called, and they never gave him a chance to call stuff actually, except Legends matches at that time. So he left the company right after this, I think. Not to mention, WCW discontinued WCW Hall of Fame after this, because 96 is an entirely different Slamboree. But, so the total, in terms of match rating here, the total stars of this show is 13 out of a possible 40. So that's a D plus. So that's a D plus show. Yeah, that's a D plus show. So right outside of C minus. But so that's episode 5 in Slam MMA. Episode 6 is Over the Edge in 1998, which is an Attitude Era pay-per-view. And the first one that I'll be reviewing in the Slams of May. As far as if you are thinking, well, are you going to do Over the Edge 99 for the Slams of May? I don't know what I'm going to do for that. Because while I've never seen the show and love the review for historical purposes, I don't know if I can actually watch it, because I don't know if WWE edited out the Owen Hart situation, but that would be the one thing that prevents me from watching that show. But there will be something to do for that, about Over the Edge 99 related for Slams of May, but it probably won't be till the 23rd, which is in 2 weeks, so probably won't be to the actual day that event took place. So this will be in the Slams of May playlist. If you like the video, like button is down there, subscribe button is down there, and thank you for watching. Bye.